All right, I am now looking at page 476, and we're going to use those station models to help figure out what the weather is doing in a couple of different cities. So we have Albuquerque, New Mexico, shown by this station model right here. And there are several pieces of information that I can figure out just from this very simple station model. First of all, the temperature is 47 degrees Fahrenheit. I can tell that it is partly cloudy, about half clouds, half clear. I can also tell that the winds are coming out of the north, because remember the stick points into the wind. So the winds are out of the north, and because there's only one little half feather, then I know that the wind is only about 5 knots, okay, because I had this little symbol. So partly cloudy and 5 knots. All right, so you should be able to write those things in. It's partly cloudy, it's 47 degrees Fahrenheit, and the wind is out of the north at 5 knots. So the wind, that's the wind direction, and this is the wind speed. Let's go to the other half of the United States. Okay. And I want to give everything away, so we're going to click over to a blank one. Here we go. Over here we have Boston, Massachusetts. First of all, it's 12 degrees Fahrenheit. It's partly cloudy. The winds are out of the north again at 5 knots. And I don't expect you to memorize all of these symbols, but, you know, if you're given kind of a cheat sheet with those symbols, you should be able to figure out what these station models are telling you. So Boston, Massachusetts, it's partly cloudy, 12 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds are out of the north at about 5 knots. Wilmington, Delaware is our next one. In Wilmington, it is overcast. The winds are out of the north at 10 knots because there's a full flag. It is 16 degrees Fahrenheit. And if you'll do a little looking, let's see, let's go back. The white area indicates snow. Pink indicates rain, ice, or snow mixed. Dark green is heavy rain. Light green is light rain. So it is also snowing here in Wilmington, Delaware, because it is in a white patch. Let's proceed further down. Miami, Florida, right here. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot of information, but there's 3 or 4 things that you can tell. Number 1, that it's 68 degrees Fahrenheit. The winds are out of the northwest. Now, there's a stick, but there's not even a half feather. So what that means is the wind is blowing less than 5 knots. More than 0, but less than 5 knots. And the sky is clear. All right, so here's what we should have for those situations. Boston, partly cloudy. Winds out of the north at 5 knots, and it's 12 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's fairly cold there. Wilmington, Delaware, it is snowing. The wind is out of the north at 10 knots. It's overcast, and it is 16 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, Miami, right now it's 68 degrees Fahrenheit, and the winds are blowing less than 5 knots, and they're blowing from the northwest. Remember, the stick points into the wind. But there's rain coming and cooler temperatures on the way. How do I know? Because here is a cold front. Notice the triangles are pointing in this direction, meaning that this cold front is headed this way, which is going to bring rain and cooler temperatures. So remember, a front is just a boundary line. So back here is cooler air than there is here. So it's going to bring in cooler air, and a lot of times you have rain come in with a cold front particularly. All right, finally, we're just going to talk about hazardous weather forecasts for just a second. We've talked already a little bit about the difference between a watch and a warning, because we've talked about hurricane watches versus hurricane warnings, tropical storm watches versus tropical storm warnings. Okay, a weather warning is issued when weather conditions that pose a threat to life and property are happening or are about to happen. We don't typically get like a rain warning, because rain just in and of itself is not something that's going to pose a threat to life and property. However, if it rains so much that we have flash flooding, then that does pose a threat to life and property, and you do see weather watches and warnings for flash flooding. You also will see weather watches and warnings for tornadoes, for severe thunderstorms, for things like that. Okay? All right, so I would love for you to highlight this entire sentence. I don't know why it's only got a partial highlight. But anyway, a weather warning is issued when weather conditions that pose a threat to life and property are happening or are about to happen. And please write this down because this is an important difference that I want you to know. A watch is issued when conditions are favorable, meaning that those weather conditions could happen, whether it's tornadoes, flash floods, severe thunderstorms, or whatnot. But a warning is issued when the event is either happening or it's imminent, which means it's right about to happen. Okay? That's your difference between a watch and a warning.